Hey, what's up, everyone? Good evening. And of course, as you know, this NFL season, this weekend is going to be action-packed. Some great football games, some great playoff games. And what was, somewhat of a pretty wild season, and unsuspecting season, for many teams. I.e., teams like the Texans, the Bengals, the Niners coming back, what have you. The Lions making an appearance in almost God knows how long, like 12 years or so, ever since Barry Sanders retired. It's been quite a bit of twists and turns, things going on in Denver, with Tebow, the way he's been playing. And so, it's been quite a bit of a lot of twists and turns in the league. But right now I want to talk about the big, for me, the biggest game that I have on my calendar, the one I'm really looking forward to the most, would be between the San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints in San Fran. And of course these would, definitely some powerhouse teams. Of course, each, you're always going to have that one underdog. And I guess San Francisco is an ironic underdog, if not a dark horse, because they have had the best, by far the best record in the NFC West, even though it's a trashy division, a shoddy division, a awful division, So they have no other choice but to win, especially when you look at New Orleans' track record from last year when they got bounced out of the playoffs by a team that didn't even deserve to be there, the Seattle Seahawks, who were 7-9. Now all of a sudden San Francisco's had a great, an enormous resurgence, a great turnaround. They've reemerged. They've had a great resurgence, and I contribute much of that to Jim Harbaugh, and the way he's able to relate to the players, the way he speaks to them, the way he's able to, mold and mentor these guys, and and get to them, be able to relate to them and get to them in a way that Mike Singletary could not do, and so like I said, these were definitely great teams. The Saints are by far officially an elite team by any measure, by any calculation, especially them being the Super Bowl champs 2 years ago, and Drew Brees running and gunning for the MVP after breaking Marino's record and stuff like that. So he's definitely at the best point of his career right now. He's closing at 40,000 yards, still at a very high level. And also you look at Saints running game, with Darren Sproles, Mark Ingram, Pierre Thomas, and the receiving core with Jimmy Graham, the tight end, who's just a beast. You look at Sproles, he's one of the leading receivers along with Marcus Colston. He's definitely another great weapon for Brees to have in his arsenal. And so when you look at it, obviously Brees has completed over 400 passes once again. So he's 468 for 657, 468 completions out of 657 attempts, 5,476 yards with a completion percentage of 71.2. 71.2 completion percentage, 8.3 yards per attempt, 46 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, with an awesome passer rating, quarterback rating of 110.6. Whereas Alex Smith completed 273 out of 445 passes. So Brees has completed more passes than Alex Smith has attempted, for 3,144 yards, 61.3 completion percentage, 7.1 yards per attempt, to 17 touchdowns to 5 interceptions with a rating of 90.7. So Brees by far, has San Fran beat hand over fist when it comes to the passing game. But the thing that, first and foremost, I just want to, go out of my way and say that I'm proud of the 49ers, for being revived and just being rejuvenated. So, because they've been one of the biggest flagship football franchise in NFL history. You know, they have a very proud tradition, a very traditional based team. You know, they have a lot of dignity, and a lot of respect, you know, within their organization. You know, you look at, I've always been a huge fan of Jerry Rice. You know, the king of all receivers, and if not arguably even the best player of all time. Period. When you look at his career and his legacy and his longevity, all that stuff. You know, for a guy his position, and you look at, you know, the guy who's throwing to him. You know, you could make a case for that. Joe Montana, who I certainly believe has been the greatest quarterback in history, the greatest quarterback to ever throw the football. You know, that I've seen. You know, whether it's, you know, of course, on film here on YouTube, or, you know, as far as, you know, the things that I've read about him, the way I've studied him. You know, of course, you have a terrific Hall of Fame backup in Steve Young to keep things going. But anyway, I'm getting to my point. You know, but now, you know, San Francisco, you know, kind of switching it up. They're focusing, especially this season, more so on the running game with a guy like Frank Gore, who's, you know, just a powerhouse. You know, he's just more of a power runner, and that's the thing that's kept the Niners really balanced. They're a really balanced team. You know, they'll throw when they have to, not so much of when they need to. You know, whereas New Orleans, you know, throws more so. You know, I guess they throw both when they need and, you know, and when they have to. You know, I guess more so they throw when they need to. You know, and, you know, I guess that, you know, they run when they have to. And you know, so if anything, you know, if San Francisco can neutralize New Orleans with the running game, and, you know, and just wear out the defense, you know, I think that would, you know, really be that would be a big key for them. You know, so like if you look, I mean, just looking at, you know, each team, you know, I mean, the Saints, you know, of course, are loaded. Breeze, Sproles, Marcus Colston, Jimmy Graham, you know what I'm saying, Pierre Thomas, you know, Roman Harper, who's the leading tackler, Malcolm Jenkins, Jonathan Vilma, you know, who's obviously not playing as high at a level that, you know, that he once, you know, that he once performed at before, but, you know, he's still, you know, a pretty nice contribution. You know, it's been a pretty good contribution to New Orleans on defense. Now, when you look at the total first downs, the Saints have had the most first downs out of the two teams, at 416. You know, and the opponents have given up 326, whereas San Fran has had 282 first downs to giving up 267. And so, of course, you know, the Niners 101 rushing first downs, 150 passing first downs, 31 by way of penalty. Whereas, you know, whereas a team like the Saints have made 116 rushing first downs, 280 passing first downs, and 20 by way of penalty. Converted 118 out of 208 third down conversions. Whereas the Niners 65 out of 221, and the Niners have had better fourth down conversion. You know, better at converting the fourth downs with 9 out of 14 to the Saints 3 out of 10. New Orleans, of course, blows them out as far as total offensive yards, 7,474. San Francisco's 4,974, which is actually less. The Niners actually have less total yards than what Drew Brees has when it comes to passing. So that means Brees has thrown for more yards than what the Niners have had combined as a team. And so as far as, you know, as far as total rushing yards, Niners 2,044, the Saints 2,127, just because of their combination at the running game when it comes to Sproles, Ingram, and Thomas. You know, whereas San Fran, you know, their main, their main threat, you know, and their focal point on at the running game, of course, is Frank Gore, as I alluded to earlier. So 282 carries, 1,211 yards, 8 touchdowns, all by himself. Frank Gore, the one-man wrecking crew. And when it comes to guys like Crabtree, who's definitely going to be an X factor for San Francisco when it comes to the passing game. 72. He's been the leader in receiving. 72 receptions, 874 yards, 4 TDs, 12.1 yards per reception. I might add. So Crabtree. I've seen him ever since he was at Texas Tech. I was like, yeah, this guy's definitely got some potential. And he's really been an X factor. For that offense. So when it comes to like that man, that man on coverage, depending on what kind of defensive plays that New Orleans calls, Crabtree could definitely have a breakout game, especially if New Orleans tries to neutralize Frank Gore. They could definitely go out to weapons like Crabtree and Vernon Davis. But if that happens, then better believe this could definitely be a gunfight out in San Fran. And of course, the Niners, have a tremendous fan base. So when it comes to the crowd, when it comes to that home field, that could definitely be a big factor in favor of the 49ers. So whereas the Superdome has always been a huge factor in New Orleans' success at home. Just because of the atmosphere and that momentum and things like that. Just knowing your home field. And so with the Niners, they have been no slouch at all. As a matter of fact, they're both tied at 13-3. New Orleans and San Francisco, they're both tied at 13-3. And of course Drew Brees, definitely had a monster game. And I joked on Facebook. I said last week, Drew Brees looked like Daniel when he conquered the Lions. And so that last minute pass near the end, it's his way. It was almost like when the angel stopped the lion's mouth with that stone. So Drew Brees' pass, was kind of a way of shutting the lion's mouth, with the stone. And so of course Brees had a stellar game. In the wild card as he led New Orleans to a 45-28 win over Detroit. Proud of Detroit. Proud of Detroit for doing what they did. But definitely, that this is the game that I really zero in on the most. Because both of these teams really have firepower, especially New Orleans on offense, and so San Francisco has that type of explosiveness on defense. And the 49ers is a team that has zoned in and focused on so much. They've built so much of their history on the passing game. That now, as of now, during this time, they're being known for the running game. So, this is going to be very, very interesting. To say the least. This is really something that's, I'm really want to get revved up for, man. Because this one, could really go either way, and especially since now it's been 30 years since the catch between Montana and Dwight Clark back in 1982, and that catch right there is, that play right there is what launched San Francisco, to a whole nother level, to a whole nother stratosphere. Ironically against the Cowboys, but that play, is what launched them straight to the moon, and to become a dynasty off of that. So I'm really looking to see how this is really going to turn out. So whatever your picks is, feel free to write, to comment, to send me a comment. Send me a comment as far as who your picks are this week. Thank you very much, and I'm out.